Hey y'all, Anime Kid Man. Today I'm going to be reading the 23rd episode of Tokyo Ghoul. And this episode was actually pretty good, which is nice to see. Because at the very least, it checked a few boxes that I usually look for in an episode. Now, while the plot progression went too fucking fast for my comfort, at the very least it had good character development. And at least the art was good, despite the animation still being piss poor like it's been from the majority of Tokyo Ghoul Season 2. So, I gotta give it some props to that. Now, let me start out by talking a bit about positives. Now, it's kind of nice to see Amon finally settle some of the issues he had with his father, because even though his father was a fucking jackass that killed multiple people behind Amon's back when Amon was a kid, in retrospective, he did care about Amon because he was the one person that he didn't eat. And I like how in this episode you finally have Amon acknowledge that, yeah, deep down he actually did love Don Ato, his father, even though he was kind of a jackass, and he still carried those memories, and he thought those were precious, and he was crying when he even had to finish his own father off. So that was a heartwarming scene, and I fucking loved it. It was great. It had multiple build-ups since like the first few Tokyo Ghoul seasons. We saw Amon's father in a few episodes in Tokyo Ghoul Re and Route A. So this has had multiple build-up, and just seeing the payoff with Amon finally acknowledging that he had positive feelings and good memories was sad and sweet at the same time. So just those scenes alone make the episode great, and just seeing Amon grow as an individual. And then, aside from that, it was also nice in this episode to get to see Hinami have some usefulness and helping Amon locate where Donato was, because he was the one controlling like Eto's corpse that was like fighting against multiple CCG members. And that was nice to also see her chip in. You also have, in this episode, from like a character standpoint, you have other characters do some cool shit. You got Ayutso help out Kaneki by helping take out like these monsters while Kaneki's looking for Furuta. So that's nice that this anime is finally using its expanding cast to have characters do things that we actually care to see them do. And then this anime, while it didn't really do a great job at characterizing Uta, because we only saw him like for maybe like a few scenes in Tokyo Ghoul, and that's about it. And he made Kaneki's mask. At the very least, they tried to explain that he's just a guy that likes to make conflict and likes to get into fights, and that's why he caused so much fucking trouble. I'd say really the only thing that peeves me is Yomo and Uta have a friendship, and it's like they're all buddy-buddy after Uta tries to kill Yomo after the fight, and then it's like, oh no, this is the type of shit they do all the time, and sometimes even Itori will help pick these two boys or men up, and I'm just saying, it would have been nice, maybe the scene would have felt nicer if we would have seen Uta a bit more throughout the series, him spending some time with Yomo at the very least. This just feels like it's just a random-ass placed fight scene just because, and it took up a lot of screen time that I wish it could have been used towards other shit. So I'd say that's one of my pet peeves about this episode, really. It's like, did it really have to be there? Did Uta even have to exist in this show? Now that I think about it, he really didn't do much of anything in Tokyo Ghoul anime. Maybe he did something in the manga, but we're talking about the anime. They could have literally like just written out Uta's character completely and just had some fucking random mask maker make Kaneki a fucking mask, and it would have easily taken the place of Uta. So that was something that I felt, since the anime didn't give depth to Uta, it didn't really do it for me. Like the Amon versus Amon's father scene, that was pretty fucking good and filled with emotions. And aside from that, this episode, it also has some pretty good music too. It had good music placement. The voice cast did their jobs properly. Everyone sounded convincing like always. I never had a complaint about that. But the animation was god awful. What the fuck? Like when Shizuya had this fight scene against this school, it was like literally flashing blue lights on like some fucking 80s 70 anime shit. For a second, I was really feeling like I was watching fucking Ronin Warriors from like the old days. And not in a good way, because okay, first, I like Ronin Warriors. I'm just saying this is like 2018. No. Tokyo Ghoul had good quality animation in its first season, and just to see it just degrade and get worse each season. You gotta tell the animators they're just phoning in at this point for their paycheck, or maybe all the good animators are probably out working on Boruto. They're probably just working on Boruto and Black Clover, probably. I mean, I have a lot of friends who swear by the animation quality of Black Clover, and Boruto is pretty good, so that's probably it. I mean, still sucks though that what we actually get from an animation standpoint isn't a good product. And aside from that, animation kind of failed, and and let me get on to the story. Story felt like super rushed, because it's like you don't get any transition scene of like Furuta turning Eto's body into like some kind of weapon. It just happened. You really don't get to see much of the action sequences with like Arima's former subordinates. Most of their fighting goes on off screen, and it's kind of a shame, because they were built up pretty well too, and you just don't get to see it. It instead focuses screen time on the Uta versus Yomo stuff, but Period's obligated because they did a good job in fleshing out Yomo throughout this series. So it's kind of a shame that their weaknesses at the start of the series is coming back to bite them in the ass. So that's kind of making things slightly clusterfucked. But just because of those scenes with like Amon and Amon's father and Kaneki about to throw down with Furuta, and then you even have some character development with Ayato when he called Kaneki a dumbass Oni-chan. That's pretty good to see how some slight bonding too. Kind of referring to Kaneki as the family now too. So all these elements, even though there were quite a few downsides, the positives far outweighed the negatives. And I'm going to give this episode a 6 out of 10. If it would have spiced up the animation a bit more, I would have given it a 7 or an 8. And had it not rushed some things with Uta, it would have been a 9 out of 10 episode for me. In case you're wondering why I didn't rate higher. But 6 out of 10 is still above average, and I'd say this episode's still good. I'm just worried about next week, because it looks like it's going to be a clusterfuck. I mean, next week we're going to have Kaneki versus Furuta. We're going to have probably some kind of peace. Maybe they're going to try to make peace between the ghouls and the human characters. Maybe all in the span of one fucking episode. Next week looks like a fucking disaster train coming. Shit. And I'm not looking forward to that clusterfuck. Oh my god. But I digress. At this point, at the very least, they didn't fuck up this episode. It was pretty good, but yeah. So anyways, guys and gals, these are my thoughts on the episode. Pretty much liked it, but I'm not. Next week's got me really worried that it's gonna fucking burn. Otherwise, it's gonna fucking burn, but hey. Can't really expect much out of this show at this point. Well, rate the video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later if you subscribe for more. Bye-bye.